Disgusted, disappointed, disillusioned. That's how corn growers described their mood after Washington failed to deliver year-round E15 in the spending package. But just when hope seemed to slip away, a familiar political spotlight returned to the Corn Belt. This week in Iowa, with signs that touted lower prices and bigger paychecks, President Trump hinted a deal on E15 may finally be within reach, turning a policy setback into a political flashpoint. What it means for farmers, fuel markets, and the road ahead. That's this weekend in our Farm Journal report. From Iowa farm fields to Capitol Hill, corn growers accelerated the push for E15 over the past month.
Yeah, I mean, it was a kick in the gut.
Steve Kuiper is a fourth-generation farmer who's located just southeast of Des Moines. Farming corn and soybeans with his sons, he's also the first vice president of Iowa Corn Growers Association. Steve, for Iowa corn, this is nothing new. I mean, how long has Iowa corn been pushing for year-round E15?
A little over 12 years. Yeah, as long as I've been on corn growers, it's been the talk the whole time. And there's always some reason why it doesn't make it over the finish line.
But just last week, corn farmers and renewable fuels groups were dealt another surprising blow as they learned midweek that year-round E15 was ultimately left out of the latest spending package.
Literally last week was the closest it's ever been. When we went to the Capitol for a tour Wednesday night, we met with our Iowa delegation about 8:30 Wednesday night, and they were still working with the Midwest delegation. They were really frustrated.
What derailed the idea that this would be part of a spending package?
It fully rests on the House of Representatives, because Senate said they would pass it. They had not had this discussion with mid-level refineries who were seeking refinery waivers, and all of a sudden they realized this was going to happen, and they blew it up.
Jeff Cooper, CEO of the Renewable Fuels Association, also saying it was small to medium-sized refiners that derailed the plan.
It appears that there is a small handful of middle-sized refiners that have thrown the gauntlet down. They're doing everything they can to try and blow this up. And that small coalition of maybe 6 or 7 companies has been working overtime this past week to try and upset the apple cart. And unfortunately, it appears that they've been successful. There's a number of members in both the Senate and House that have bought into the nonsense that coalition is spreading and caving into them.
Growth Energy's Emily Score was on AgriTalk with Chip Flory this week, calling the issue frustrating and parochial politics. When asked if President Trump has the power to drive E15 on his own, Score said ultimately no.
What we hear from the team around the president is he did what he could. He has done what he could on E15. He issued an executive order. EPA gave us the summer waivers for last summer. We all know that what we need right now is an act of Congress. And so really the conversation has to be, Congress, do your job, okay? We need this. And I will tell you, Chip, I have got CEOs of all kinds of agriculture trade groups calling me saying, what can we do to be helpful? We've got to get this done. So I think the White House wants to see Congress get something done.
The President Trump taking a trip to Iowa earlier this week, his second visit to the state in less than a year. And ahead of the president being there, Iowa Corn and Iowa Renewable Fuels Association releasing this open letter to the president on Tuesday, as well as placing this ad in the Des Moines Register, thanking the president for his past support of E15, while also urging him to help push the policy across the finish line in Congress. What was the goal? What was the goal of putting that ad in the Des Moines Register right ahead of the president speaking in Iowa on Tuesday?
To get the message out there to him and to all the folks that work with him, and even to the folks in Iowa, that we need to get this across the finish line. And I've been involved with Iowa Corn for quite a while. We've put ads out, and I've never seen one that sparked so much interest.
And on Tuesday night, after the president took to the stage, he delivered on what corn growers asked him to do.
Very importantly, on day one, I kept my promise to the people of Iowa and abolished the insane electric vehicle mandate, which would have obligated you to go out and buy an electric car, but it would have obliterated a thing called ethanol. Do you like ethanol? Is it big?
The president then later saying a deal on year-round E15 is close to done.
The people of Iowa to know that I am trusting Speaker Mike Johnson, who's great, and Leader John Thune, who's great, that's House and Senate, to find a deal that works. We've got it. For farmers, consumers, and refiners, including small and mid-sized refiners. In other words, to get E15 approved, and they're working on it. They're very close to getting it done. So I just want to let you know that. Yeah?
While critics say a deal is nowhere near close, the president's statement sparked a flood of support from members of Congress on X, which included Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who said, quote, "I remain committed to continue working with my colleagues in Congress to get a year-round E15 proposal across the finish line and to the president's desk," end quote. According to the letter Iowa Corn and Iowa Renewable Fuels sent earlier this week, they say as corn prices remain below break even, growth from E15 could boost corn prices and create meaningful market demand nationwide.
There's some headwinds left. I try to be as optimistic a person as possible, but there's still a few headwinds. The House and Senate are very dysfunctional on things. So, to get this passed, there's a few people that have to be convinced.
And after the president's positive comments about E15 this week, it injected a renewed hope on those working to get a deal done on E15 and hope that a decades-long effort may finally be close to the finish line.
Well, also this week, the White House Office of Management and Budget has completed its review of proposed guidance for the 45Z Clean Fuel Production Tax Credit. Guidance on 45Z has experienced extreme delays. The 45Z tax credit was actually created under the Inflation Reduction Act passed in 2022 and is designed to support production of low-emission transportation fuels through 2027. Well, Washington insider Jim Wiesmeyer telling us the public proposed 45Z rules are likely to be published this spring, with final rules following after their comment period. The precise dates have not yet been officially announced. Well, when we come back, before President Trump's speech, he did make a stop at an iconic Iowa restaurant. We talked to one farmer who was there next.